Now, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, I would now request Mr. Colonel Singh, who is a seasoned police officer into this field for long, long years, and he's got a vast experience in J&K, Northeast, Chhattisgarh, and other places. And exactly this is the specialization what he's pursued all his career. So, sir, may I request you to kindly take the discussion forward and enlighten us with more of the things on this particular subject? Mr. Colonel Singh.
Thank you, Brigadier Dhiman. I also thank Mr. Kuldeep Khoda, my senior, who has explained it in details about the terrorism, terror financing, and the lacunas which have been there. Let me first explain about the All India scenario in terrorism. First part is the northeastern part of the country, which started right from 1947 in the form of they wanted to get out of India, basically, the separatist movement. But with the passage of time, the government of India is able to convert that separatist movement into the demanding of certain portions. The Mizoram problem was solved in 1987. It became peaceful. Nagaland, there has been a peace accord and still negotiations are going on. There are peace accords with Manipur also. The Assam problem was sorted out by the government. And now recently the Bodoland also, the problem has been sorted out. The second area of concern is the left-wing extremism, which started in 1967 from the Naxalbari area. It is interesting to note that it started with the demand of the poor people, peasants, and the tribals where the development has not taken place. We had done some cases from the Enforcement Directorate about the terror financing for the Naxals. And interestingly, it was found that a large portion of money goes to the education of their children, the leaders' children of the Naxals. And they are not interested at the moment even for the development. The problem which started for the non-development is taking the toll on the development itself. Now, if the government of India and the state governments wants to develop those areas, wants to build the roads, the same Naxals people stop that. They kill the people and they are extorting from everyone from there. The third area of concern, first was the Punjab. We know the terrorism started in Punjab in 70s, but ultimately, more or less, it has been controlled. Meanwhile, issues arose in Afghanistan, and USA wanted to use the Pakistan to take help, and there started the jihadi terrorism from the Afghanistan. And the Kashmir problem we were having, as you are all aware more than me, from 1947 itself. When the problem for the USA, it was getting settled in Afghanistan, these terrorist organizations, Huji particularly, they started coming to the Kashmir and Bangladesh. When they came to the Kashmir in the late 80s, we see the big massacre of Kashmiri Pandits also in that period. And there was a huge movement of terrorism in the early 90s in Kashmir. Jihadi terrorism also started in the rest of India. In the early 90s, there were bomb blasts in trains near Mumbai. 93, there were also blasts in Mumbai done by Dawood Ibrahim and his group. 97, 98, there were around 42 blasts in and around Delhi, but these were done by the group led by Abdul Karim Tunda, who fled to Pakistan and started working with Lashkar-e-Toiba. At this stage, what Pakistan was doing is it was sending resident agents in our country, various parts like Delhi, Hyderabad, Calcutta, Mumbai, to various parts. Now, these resident agents were the Pakistanis who would settle there and get the Indian identity. After getting the Indian identity, they would marry in India as if they are Indian. They will start a business, and when everything is settled, then the terrorists will start coming from Pakistan. Again, they were all most of them were from the Pakistan origin. Then happened 9/11. After the 9/11, the international community woke up saying that yes, terrorism is something every country should act on it. United Nations intervened. FATF, Financial Action Task Force, also took that they had to control terror financing. And Pakistan made the different strategy. It made the strategy that they would provide the finances, but the people who are involved in terrorism should be from the Indian origin. Basic idea was that they wanted deniability to be there. Thus came the formation of Indian Mujahideen, which ultimately, after the Badla House encounter and subsequently Indian forces acting, they were able to annihilate the Indian Mujahideen. So these are the various phases and the terrorism happening in India. Now terrorists need finances, whether they want to make the resident agents, whether they require for their logistics. Even the family members of the people who have been involved in terrorism, they keep getting the funds after funds for managing their families. They require funds for the arms ammunition. They required funds when the stone throwing was taking place in Kashmir. So for a lot of things, they require funds. And from where they get these funds? First, we'll come to that. The first is the drug money. And Mr. Khoda had explained it, but let me go a bit detail. We have on one side of our country golden crescent, consisting of Afghanistan, Iran, and Pakistan. On the eastern side, we have golden triangle, Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. Opium and heroin at both the places are produced. From Afghanistan, at the borders of Afghanistan, Pakistan, it goes through India. It goes through the other countries also, land route like Kazakhstan and others. But recently they are taking the sea route also. This money goes to Taliban, goes to ISI, and they use it for terrorist purposes. Similarly, from the Golden Triangle, the drug comes to India, and then ultimately the destination is the Western countries, where the margin is huge because of that drug. The Taliban itself is almost getting around $200 million per annum. That's a huge margin they are getting for this. Apart from the drug money, if we go to for example, the Naxalites and northeastern India, it is extortion and protection money. Any activity which is taking place in Naxal area, whether it is road construction, whether somebody is doing a business, they have to give cut to the Naxals, otherwise they will not allow them to operate. If one goes to the northeastern area like Nagaland, we have found even the government servant is paying protection money to the Naga insurgents. Even that has happened. Then the Indian Mujahideen, which has operated in India, they were doing kidnapping for ransom. And they had very well planned, elaborate system of kidnapping for ransom. Like they will get a group of criminals, which has nothing to do with terrorism, who will kidnap somebody. They will hand over this kidnapping to another group. Then a person from Dubai, Aftab Ansari, who was heading this Indian Mujahideen in the beginning, he would ring up and negotiate. Money would be delivered in Dubai. And then from there, it will be delivered by Aftab Ansari to his terror outfits in India, and even in Pakistan. Sometimes he has given to the Lashkar-e-Toiba some money also. So that was how Indian Mujahideen was doing. Then there are charity funds which have been explained in details. But let's see, the Lashkar-e-Toiba front is Jamatul Dawa organizations, which transformed into Falayat Insaniyat. They are collecting funds for charity purposes. They have their own hospitals. They have ambulances. They have schools for education purposes. It appears as if they are doing charity, but a large part of that goes to the terrorism, to the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Similarly, Jaish-e-Mohammed has its own trust, Al-Rashid Trust. They collect charity funds. A lot of zakat money comes. Now there is an international Islamic front which collects zakat funds and send these funds to various countries. In 99, we had arrested one person, Abu Nasir. He was from belonging to Myanmar, but he was working in the International Islamic Front in Pakistan. So when he was caught, he told us that he has been distributing this charity funds to the training institutes in Pak-occupied Kashmir as well as in Afghanistan. See, at that time, even FBI came with a lie detector to Delhi. They interrogated him and they confirmed, yes, this man is telling the truth, where all these charity funds are going. So then we come to the Pakistan itself. See, whatever I was talking, it was about the terrorist organizations themselves getting the funds or the charity funds are getting diverted. But here comes the state government. We have got some separatist supporters who had coming out of the Pakistan embassy in Delhi and taking the funds from the employees from there. And these funds were supposed to given to, and they had given in the past to the separatists in Kashmir, and some funds they have given to the terrorists also. So even the embassy was doing and supplying the funds for the separatism and for the terrorists. Then ISI itself, one, it is involved in the narcotics. The Pakistan was printing the fake Indian currency notes. What they had done is they had tied up with the same company which was supplying the paper to India. They were getting paper from the same company, ink from the same company, machine from the same companies which India was getting. And therefore the printing of the notes were so fine that even the banks were unable to find what is the difference between the original currency and the fake currency. Only difference they could say is that certain features the RBI changes from year to year. Only somebody expert in knowing those features, that in this particular year these features were not there, they were able to tell that it is a fake Indian currency. So fine currency was printed. It is only after the demonetization when the new currencies was printed, we changed the papers, we changed the ink, and thereafter it has become difficult for Pakistan to print again the similar type of the fake Indian currencies, and that currency was used for terrorist purposes also, proceeds of those currencies. Then ISI is also getting secret funds from the government for operations. Even that is diverted for terror purposes. The crime syndicate of Dawood Ibrahim, which has huge money, he is giving protection money to Pakistan basically. So he stays there safe and sound, but he is giving this money to ISI, which is used in terror financing. So ISI itself is collecting money, giving it to the terror organizations. We have evidences when we have interrogated various people who had attended training camps in Pakistan. The ISI people used to come in training camps and guide them. So there are ample evidence against that. Now, once this terror funding is there, how this terror funding is transferred? We have seen that in most of the cases it was through Hawala. Even the terrorists from Kashmir will come to Delhi, Jalandhar, and even go up to Mumbai. And in one case, they went to Chennai also to collect the Hawala money, so that they go to far off places so that they are not get caught easily. Barter trade, Mr. Khoda has already explained what happens. There are NGOs also which are getting money. It is very difficult to tell that these NGOs are getting money from the good funds or bad funds. But there have been instances that these monies are used for various purposes, for the purposes for which they have not been called for. And therefore, Government of India has changed the law about the getting the money from abroad for NGOs. They have earmarked a bank in Delhi. Only all monies which will come to the State Bank of India Delhi branch, and only then it will go to those NGOs. So that law was amended only for this purpose. Then wire transfer, Mr. Khoda has already told that Western Union has been supplying. We had got one case where the money was coming from Italy. And the Western Union and money comes in very small amount, like 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, so that nobody has a doubt on it. And internationally, it becomes difficult to operate immediately. If we say Italy that this is the money coming, you rate that, they will not do it. So it has to be letter rogatory. We send the letter of request from our country, and subsequently the Italy sent the report that this particular exchange from the money was coming. It was handled by a Pakistani who came to Italy with a fake passport and is not traceable now. So we were not able to get that person in spite of that. Now, cryptocurrency and darknet is another area which can be used. We have not found the evidences, but this is a very, very important areas where the money can be transferred undetected from one country to another country. We have tax havens. Now, Christy asked the questions, the banking channels money flow. Now, tax havens is one of the methods by which the money is cleaned and you don't know from where it is coming. Now, what is done in tax haven is, suppose I want to open an account in tax haven. I have to just go to the internet. There are various websites available. I can contact in the tax havens that I want to open an account. They will ask me, you want to give directors or we'll give you nominee directors? Nominee directors are generally poor people living in those tax havens. They will become nominee director. Then is the shareholders. Who is the shareholders? Then they will ask you whether you want to be shareholder of the company or you want the nominee shareholders. And in some of these tax havens, there was also concept of bearer shares. Anybody who holds the share is owner. Thereafter, these directors will open account in another tax haven. But how I'll get that money? So they will issue power of attorney in my name now. So only the bank will have a record who is actually beneficial owner of that account. Nobody will know. If you ask the papers from anybody, the nominee directors are different, the shareholders are different, company owners are different. And when this money moves from one country to another country, it may be coming from terror funding. Nobody will know it is coming from terror funding. So if we have to see the banking channel, we have to only try to find out where this money is being used. For example, if we take example of Kashmir, if some money is going to the families of the terrorists, and if it is coming through banking channels, that data can be collected and that data can be used to find out which source it is coming. And if the similar source, the money is going to some other people, that also would be the terror funding. That analysis and examination can be done. Then credit cards. If the credit card is given of such an account, then when one uses any money, nobody will be able to have a doubt on that. Money laundering, Sir Khoda has already explained 3 stages of money laundering: the placement, layering, and the integration. I'll not go into that. Money laundering concept started basically as a concept. It was the long back, but there was prohibition in America, USA, between 1920s and 40. And in that prohibition, the mafia started earning a lot of money in prohibition. So there was a head of one of the mafia, which was known as El Capino. He started a laundromat machine. Laundromat is a machine where the washing is done and you put a coin and you wash your clothes. And from that machine, what he was doing is he was showing more receipt and he was mixing his own money in that. And that's how he was increasing and money laundering he was doing. Generally, it was very difficult to catch the the people who are heading the mafia, because the police is able to catch only the lower ranks who are involved in killing and who are involved in actual operations. In 80s, to the investigation is started from Italy. They said that, okay, we are not going to start only the lower portion, we want to find out where the money is going. Various countries cooperated, and there were two important trials: Maxi trial case in Italy and Pisa connection case in USA, in which ultimately 350 mafiosos were convicted. Keeping this in mind, that money of the terrorists, money of the drug mafia should be seized. A Vienna Convention had under United Nations in 1988. And in that it was decided that the countries should cooperate with each other. That was that concept. And the banks should also cooperate with the investigating agency. Thereafter, Basel Committee on Banks took a decision in 1989 that the secrecy laws will not hinder the police investigation. And thereafter, the intergovernmental body through the G7 Financial Action Task Force was formed in 1989. Now, FATF role was basically to suggest various countries what laws should be made. They came out with certain recommendations, 40 recommendations in the beginning. Initially, it was only the drug mafia. Subsequently, they added all different crimes, which we call now the predicate crimes or scheduled crime for money laundering. Then happened 9/11. After the 9/11, FATF also included terror financing as its agenda, on its agenda. Today they have 40 recommendations, but they have 11 outcomes. They say that every country should make laws, but those laws should be effective. Like Pakistan has made laws about terror financing and also dealing with money laundering, but they are not implementing them effectively. Then we have intelligence cooperation done through Egmont Group. Each country has financial investigation unit, and they share intelligence between one country to another country. After, even before 9/11, United Nations Security Council Resolution 1267 was passed against the Al Qaeda and related entities. After 9/11, 1373 was passed, where the sanctions can be given by the United Nations Security Council against other terrorist organizations. These sanctions require freezing of the assets of the terror outfits, travel ban, and arms embargo. These three things were important. Lashkar-e-Toiba there was an embargo on that. There was a sanction against Lashkar-e-Toiba. Pakistan was not implementing that against them. And because of that, this issue was raised in FATF. I was heading the FATF at that time. And in the initial stage, see, it is very difficult to get the cooperation from the other countries. China was supporting them, and most of the countries were neutral because the terrorism in Pakistan is not affecting them. We have a meeting in India where ultimately the National Security Advisor intervened, and thereafter the External Affairs Ministry approached various countries, telling what Pakistan is doing, telling that Pakistan, because of Pakistan, we are getting finances in India, we are getting terrorists in India, we are a whole lot of problems. And as a result, ultimately, Pakistan was put by FATF in the grey list. Now, grey list basically means various countries which are having the financial transactions with Pakistan will be considered to be the high risk country. And therefore, if they are giving any money to Pakistan, they will give at higher interest rates. The question is that whether Pakistan now, India is trying that into the blacklist, which will have far more effective implications on Pakistan. Pakistan is trying to get out of this. Recently, now February, we have a meeting in the FATF And the Jakiur Rahman, who was involved in the 2611 Mumbai, they have arrested him just to show that they are taking action. They have been doing this in the past also, but we must ensure that the Pakistan comes to the blacklist, because international pressure being put on Pakistan is, everybody is knowing there that Pakistan is a rogue country, and that will help India. I'll stop at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You've given us a very in-depth analysis of the origin of insurgency at various places and how the drug money is being operated in those things, how things happen in Dubai, how the charity funds are transferred, how the embassy of Pakistan was doing, and what all Hawala channels we're using, various credit cards, Western Union, etc.
Please like and subscribe.